What is good, friends? And welcome back. Today with me, I have a super spoon, a guest, a new guest in this podcast style video.
Hey everyone, my name is P2G Super Spoon. Obviously, I'm from the P2G Alliance, and looking forward to having an open discussion today about some heated topics.
Thanks for being with me. You heard the news. The developer announced that the air fleet is coming soon. We don't have much info, so let's start with what we know. So, air fleet is Army groups for Air Force. It's coming soon. And so far, we know that the fleet will be limited to 6 airplanes and it's jets only, no bombers. I tried to ask question about what's the intention behind that because nobody asked for air fleet. My theory is since they bring the fleet for the Navy, then lots of commanders had no choice to start focusing on upgrade their Navy and put the Air Force on the back burner. And now I suppose Lilith wants us to start upgrading Air Force and to be able to be competitive and form fleets to be able to defeat your opponent. As we know, when you enter the battle in a conquest, the alliance with the best air force usually win. It's not always the case, but if you win in the air, it's really difficult for the enemy to be able to form rallies and be able to burn down bases, attack ground troops, because they get bombed and the attack gets neutralized. So with the air fleet, I know it's a hot topic. There is a lot of commanders in our community that are against it. Personally, I'm not against it. I'm not for it either. There's pro and cons, and we're going to talk about that. What is your gut feeling about the air fleet?
Look, my gut feeling tells me that it's natural progression of the game. All right, they brought it in for ground units. Navy was the next obvious expansion. But in terms of bringing it in for Air Force, I think it's part of the natural progression. It was going to come out whether we wanted it or not. I think the big issue is about how it's going to be implemented and then how that's going to interact with other game dynamics that are already in place.
Right. That's a good question. And I thought about it myself. If you know how the army group works and the fleet works for the naval fleet, you can micromanage every unit by yourself, or you can control the whole group. But with the Air Force, you can't select a single jet. You had to select it from the menu. You cannot select it in the air while it's flying. So how are you going to manage this? Are they going to fly in a formation? Will you be able to pick a formation for the proper scenario? I have no idea. I know a lot of commanders are not happy about this because the first thing that comes to their mind is, well, it's going to make the whales even more powerful. So I will give you an example. In my last conquest, we were not the most powerful alliance, but we were dominating. We were on the strongest side, and most of the air battles were controlled by myself because I had the best jets, right? And I was able to dominate the sky with only 2 of my jets, sometimes 3. So imagine if I had 4 more jets in my squadron, the effect will be compounded and the enemy won't be able to do nothing at all. So it will just amplify the whale effect, if I can say that. So I'm kind of worried about this. Do you see the problem?
Can I amplify what you've just said and blow your mind out of the water? Because let's just say, for instance, your Air Force is the whale epitome, the legendary. You're the strongest air player in your conquest, right? let's use air control. And you're going to stick one fighter into 3 different Air Force groups, and they equally share the greatest air control of the person in that army group. You
Yes.
now have 3 obliterating Air Force groups sharing your whale level stats.
Yeah. And it seems that, I don't know if it's my impression, but in the sky, Wells, their tanker jet, is the most challenging unit to destroy. So imagine having a air fleet of 3 tankers, or just an air fleet of all tankers, and another fleet with all damage dealing jets. I don't know. It seems like a nightmare to deal with, and that's, I think, is the most um, the biggest problem, or the biggest issue the community is thinking of. It will
And
break the balance even more.
yeah, I think you just touched on the hard part there, is that the community is coming up with all these scenarios at the moment, and none of us know exactly what's going to happen. They've kept that information so close and tight knit amongst the development team. We're discussing potential for formations, impacts on gameplay, and really we haven't seen it or trialed it. So it could just be like when Navy came out, and after the first month of the Navy Army groups, they said, you know what, we're going to make some changes. We've got to boost this and adjust that. And now it's working much better. But until we actually see it in gameplay, it's just hearsay and speculation.
Yeah, it's all speculation, and it will definitely, if it's implemented, because right now they are telling us they will introduce it. They're not asking us, they're telling us that's it's going to happen, but they still want us our input. So I'm not too sure why, if they have made their mind. And I understand this, that it's their game. They do what they want after all, but they also have to please the community. And we've seen in the past that they had to revert or cancel the project because the reaction was too strong. So in the end, they have to go forward with the game, but they also have to keep the game fun for everyone. So they will probably go forward with it, whether we like it or not, unless it's received badly to the point that they finally have to like fold and cancel everything. But so far, I think they're going to go with it. Eventually, if it's introduced, it will have to be optimized. Okay. Nothing comes perfect out of the gate.
Well, like we said at the start, I think it's going to be part of the natural progression of the game, whether we like it or not. It might not come out this month, but it will come out or happen eventually. And like you were talking about, uh, with everything happening in a sequence, I think the biggest impact for the game is on the free to play players. And I don't want to get into everything about my channel, but everything that I do for my content is focused on free to play and how we can do what we can to keep up with whale accounts and still compete at a high level. So, when I came into the game, everything was ground force troops. So air was put on the back burner, and then I would start to progress towards that Air Force troop, and then Navy came into the game, and then they brought in conquest battles focused around Navy, so that became more important. So once again, Air Force troops got put on the back burner. I know there is an abundance of players out there who are heavy ground force troops who are battling to keep up with high level accounts in their alliances, who are dragging them up into higher tier battles, and they have 0 Air Force now. So my natural instinct is to say, hang on a second, whoa, slow down. But then at the counterbalance that, you've got those people who do pay to play, and unless they went Air Force heavy, they've enough resources to now have strong units in all categories. So, what's next for them? They can't, if they're paying to support the game, and I commend them for it because I can't afford to do it. But someone's got to keep the game going. So, the natural progression for them now is if they sit idle for too long, what do? Do they pack up and leave the game and find something else?
Right. The game needs to keep evolving, and I've read the comments on that topic in Discord. Many are saying it will kill the game. Many said that months and years ago when the airspace control came. They said it's going to kill the game. When the gears came, they said it's going to kill the game. When the Navy came, they said it's going to kill the game. Like, it keeps going and going. Yes, it's a natural cycle. We have commanders quitting the game, but we also have new players downloading the game, and apparently from Lilith, they have as much quitters than new downloaders. So there is a balance, but eventually everybody will have to quit one day. Okay, so this is not an argument. I'm not against it, but just to bring out that argument is like it's a non-issue. But it's not all bad. Okay, I found a few pros to the air fleet. The first thing that comes to mind is it will allow the smaller, the weaker commander to be part of an air fleet and be able to score some kills because that fleet is led by a whale. So that is a good opportunity for you to be part of that battle, because most of the time when I start hunting planes, I'm always alone. For some reason, I don't know why, I'm always alone, and I'm asking my friends, hey, follow me, come with me. And they say, oh, well, you move too fast and we can't follow you and we have to check for this and that. So this will help air main players to have a wingman and be able to be more competitive, to have some support, while those weaker commanders, they can focus on their ground troop. So this is positive. Right. This is good news. It's not all bad.
I definitely I see the advantage in supporting those weaker players who aren't air superior focused within the alliance. So even within Peak and Glory, my role is a support player. So as a support role, I sit in the second tier, right? I sit behind the main base-to-base players, and I just pump my reserves into army groups. Now, for me, the hardest thing is the air cover when you're going into attack a base. So yeah, 100%. I can see the positive of now having multiple players put together their fighters as one core group to support your army groups in those base-to-base battles and so on. So I can definitely see advantages to that. More importantly, that becomes another AG leader. So that's another role for someone in the alliance. You are tasked to keep the fighters over the army group while we go and attack bases.
Yeah, usually what happens is you have some decent coverage at the beginning, and then as you progress, the jets are gone. They are only God knows where. Then you get bombed, and the jet wakes up. So if you have a dedicated air main that is in charge of air cover, you should be good to go, because in the end, friends, if you control the air, you win. And the alliance with the most rallies, fleets, air fleets will win. It's all about that. Yes, a whale will be the X factor in the equation, but in the end, a whale alone can't do anything without the support of the fleets and the rallies, okay? So you guys will have to make sure the activity is on top, and you will have to recruit rally leaders. That's what wins a battle. The other cons that I see with those air fleets is the potential lag. If all those moving troops in frame will create an extra load on your device. I know some of you are struggling. You may not have a recent device, and all those troops moving with all those special effects can be quite challenging. So I'm a little bit worried about that. Seems like I didn't experience lag recently, so the game is stable. I like it, but I'm afraid that by introducing those fleets, it may cause the game to become unstable and ruin the experience. So that's my first worry. Then somebody pointed out in the community that it will make the aircraft carrier obsolete since now you can control lots of jets. And I can see that happen as well, unless the game developers decide to optimize the balance. But it seems like aircraft carriers are really popular during Hegemon. Outside, not really. Maybe for some specific scenario where you have to defend your base. Other than that, they lost popularity since the Air Force got implemented. Now,
My question for you there is, with patch 14.2, they brought out some base air optimization with the increase in firepower and percentage buff of anti-air defense systems. So do you think that they've preempted this change coming through?
Yes. I mean,
do you think there's going to be more changes now for light tanks and ATGs to support?
I hope so. I was thinking about this. If Air Force becomes stronger, you will have to find a stronger counter to keep the balance. I would love to see the light tank or the ATG getting a buff against Air Force to make those air fleets vulnerable to something. Like you always have a prey and a predator, but if the predator is too strong, then it will kind of offset the balance, right? Who knows?
Well, talk about it from your perspective. You've got your tanking fighter out front, and there's this one light tank on the ground sitting underneath it. Are you laughing at the light tank at the moment?
Yeah,
because it's not able to kill anything.
For my jet, it's not an issue. And for my light tanks against a weaker jet, he have an issue. So this, I mean, the light tank alone is not really a threat. In a rally, if you have a bunch of them, it can be annoying, but it's not as bad as the ATG. However, the ATG being not really mobile, you can easily you can easily bomb it, drop one bomb and retreat. You will still damage that ATG while taking almost no fire. So I think they will have to work on that. And one thing that came to my mind is all the air mains know what I'm talking about. Okay, all the air mains that know how to attack to inflict maximum damage to jet. When you will be in charge of a fleet, since you cannot micromanage those units, I mean, we believe we won't, maybe we will, but I doubt we will. For those air mains, it will be easy for them to counter those fleets by attacking from behind and killing all the damaged jets and leaving the tanking jets alone, something like that. So it's not all negative, it's not all bad news, and I'm sure some of you can and will make plenty of kills against those fleets. It's the same thing with the rallies. If you are a decent player that understand the game mechanic, you can defeat a rally quite easily if you know what you're doing and if you have the proper unit. That's going to be the same thing for air fleets. So it's not all bad news. I understand that for every new change or updates, we react strongly because we're afraid of things to come, but we don't know the whole situation. So
that's right.
I understand the reaction.
We're jumping in here and making all these assumptions about things we don't know for sure are going to happen. Like one of the main focuses of a fighter is its speed, getting into a battle and out of the battle, and so you can manipulate the scene as an individual airman, right? Now, when you're bringing those army groups together, does my unit slow down your unit, or are you going to jet off? that's where the
Yeah.
assumption of formations has come in.
Yes.
So are they going to have formations to keep them together? Otherwise, your fighter and my fighter, we're not going to keep up together. So how
Yeah.
are you going to control that when you're moving from battle to battle?
I would hope for some formation. Otherwise, it will be quite difficult to make sure the proper jet intercept first. But maybe it will be part of the weakness of controlling a fleet. We don't know. One thing that came to mind also that I almost forgot, those Caribbean Sea that is upcoming. We have those Air Force dedicated zone, and I'm afraid that some whales evil whales may think about ruining the fun for everyone by raiding those zones and killing everyone, preventing them from accomplishing their mission. Because, as you know, jets are not affected by landscape. They can go wherever they want. They're highly mobile, and it's kind of easy to rat everyone until you realize you left your jets idling and you lost them. It happened to me.
If you're going for the fighting machine victory, then you're going to have so much fun this conquest because you're just going to obliterate everyone all over the map.
Yeah, big players, strong players, Wells. I'm sure they will have a load of fun. Smaller commanders, maybe not. So if you pick the 3 strongest commanders in your alliance, which have, let's say, each 3,000 airspace control. So if you're smart, you say, hey, you guys create or make sure you send one of your jet in those 3 available air fleets so you can share your power. And I think the next best thing they can do is having a tanking fleet and a damage dealing fleet. And if those 2 guys are in voice chat, they will wreck everything. I mean, that will be just insane. Yeah. So I'm just giving you ideas, guys, for things to come, but that's how I would do it. If you can achieve that, you win. So
yeah, exactly. And that's my job in Peak and Glory. I'm the strategist. So it's going to be my job to come up with ways to defeat this.
Yeah, it will be your job to come with my idea.
Yeah, definitely.
So there you have it, friends. Whether you like it or not, it will most likely be introduced in the game. When? We don't know. But I assure you, don't panic. I'm sure it won't be that bad. Okay, I'm trying to stay positive. I'm not for or against it. We'll see. Maybe some of you are overreacting, and I get it. But it's not going to kill the game. Okay, the game is all right. Give it a try. Be open-minded, and I'm sure it will be all right. So with that being said, thanks for being with me, Super Spoon. Make sure you go watch his channel. He have some decent content, so that will interest you. He's following the Alliance P2G server 87.
87.
All right, server 87, strong and dynamic alliance playing in Gold 1. Are you guys recruiting?
Yeah, we're still open to recruiting for next C4.
Still open for recruitment. Go watch their content. If you like what you see, apply to the Alliance if you want to play in Gold 1. Guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.
Thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure.